What up, it's Chris from Laser Lemming and UpandLoaded.com. I literally just spent the last 20 minutes recording of this very video without having my damn light on. So, we're doing this again. We're doing this again better than ever, and it's not going to take 20 minutes this time. Maybe it'll take more. So, let's talk about E3 predictions. It's coming soon, like within about 2 weeks. We got Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo. We're not going to talk about Ubisoft or E3. We're going to talk about E3. We're not going to talk about Ubisoft or EA or Activision or Bethesda, whoever wants to do their own special conference, because those are just a joke. We're just talking about the big three. We're going to start with Microsoft, who has new hardware coming out. Yes, new hardware. They're going to have the Xbox One Scorpio, or whatever they officially call it. It'll probably be something boring like the Xbox One Pro. Very directly competitor to their main competitor, the PS4 Pro. And I think it's going to be very expensive. So, unless Microsoft has some kind of amazing deal with a graphics company or a motherboard company, they are going to be charging a lot for this system. The Xbox One Scorpio, I'm thinking it's going to come in around $500 to $600. Remember when Sony did that with the PlayStation 3? And they said it's going to have two versions, a 20 gigabyte PS3 for $499 and a 60 gigabyte PS3 for $600, $599 US dollars. Yeah, I think that's going to be the Scorpio. These stats, these specs are very good on the Scorpio. I just got a new gaming PC. It's probably a Scorpio Plus, and it wasn't cheap. So Microsoft is going to have to charge a lot of money to make any money on this. Sony and Microsoft are chasing that PC gamer crowd, the people that are looking for the best of the best. This is something that hasn't happened. The Scorpio and the PS4 Pro, that is not something that we are used to seeing in the gaming world. We're not used to seeing these mid-gen upgrades that the games are playable on both systems. This is very much like the cell phone world, the iPhones, the Androids, the Blackberries. This is very similar to that. So Nintendo might get in on that as well. There's rumors saying that Nintendo could release an updated version of the Switch down the line and possibly be even cheaper, because everybody who wants to upgrade, for example, may have the Joy-Con, so they don't need an extra controller. So Nintendo might be able to sell a tablet-only version of a Switch 2.0. But we're not there yet. We're going to talk about Sony next. So Microsoft, they are going to be all about the hardware. They'll probably show off, well, not Halo 6, but they'll probably show off a big first-party game and some big third-party exclusives. Microsoft likes to money-hat the exclusives, so we're probably going to see some of that, some indie games. I think they'll do a decent job. It's going to be all about the hardware for them, though. Sony, on the other hand, is going to be all software. There's a rumor going around that Sony's going to show off some new hardware. A lot of people believe Sony's going to show off the PSP 3, or a Nintendo Switch competitor. Because Switch is doing well. It's a console, but it's also a handheld. And there's a patent floating around the internet from Sony that kind of shows off something similar to the Switch. A lot of people think that Sony's going to show it off. Me, not so much, because Sony gave up on the Vita rapidly. Like within 2 years, Sony had announced that they weren't going to be developing any big games on their own anymore. They weren't going to be spending that kind of money on that system anymore. Within about 2 years. And honestly, after the first E3 with the Vita, big deal for them. Second E3, they were done. They were talking about 3D. They were just trying to get you to buy 3D TVs from Sony at that point. That's all they cared about. They didn't give a shit about their own handheld they had just launched a year prior. Couldn't mean less to them. So, I don't think Sony is focused on this yet. I think Sony and Microsoft may very well try to follow in Nintendo's footsteps here. I think a console handheld hybrid is the future. And it's not just with these three companies. Any phone manufacturer, Apple's already dipping its toe in that water. Google kind of is as well. Amazon, any company that has a big presence in these two arenas are really pushing for this. It's all about just one kind of unified system. So your phone is your life that you take with you. You go home, sit on the couch, you want to watch the big TV, but you want to do it through your phone. You can control things with your phone now. You can watch things with your phone. I think that Nintendo is already kind of seeing that, and I think the Switch is really capitalizing on it. But I think the next people to imitate Nintendo are going to be the cell phone companies, and then it's probably going to be Sony and Microsoft. If Nintendo's serious, Nintendo is estimating about 10 million Switches the first year. That's a big deal. That's showing a big industry change, possibly. So let's move on to Sony before we get too much more into Nintendo. Sony is, I don't think that they're going to be showing off new hardware, even though there's that rumor. I think they're going to be all about the software. And I think their big game, most likely, for this year is going to be Spider-Man. They revealed it last year, and it was a big deal. It looked good. It looked good. And I think it's going to look even better because they're going to be able to show it on PS4 Pro hardware if they weren't secretly doing that last year. And it's going to look good. I think it's going to play good. It's from Insomniac. They are no slouches. They make good games. So I am looking forward to that. And I think it's going to be their big game this year. I don't think it's going to be The Last of Us Part 2. I think that's probably early to mid-2018. And let Naughty Dog take their time. I called it. If you've been paying attention on this channel, I called it. I said there's no way The Last of Us 2 does not happen. And it's happening. And I think it's going to be next year for sure. If it comes out this year, awesome. But I don't think it will. So, no, I don't think Sony's going to do anything hardware-wise. Because, and it's definitely not going to be a dedicated console to compete with the Scorpio. Because that's what the PS4 Pro is. And I think it was good. Even though the PS4 Pro is going to be fairly weaker than the Xbox Scorpio, it was good that Sony was able to get a system out, a more powerful system out that was $400, the same price the PS4 initially launched at. So I think that it's good. Like, there's going to be a pretty big dichotomy. It's going to be kind of like PC Hardcore Master Race Console Edition versus beefy console. And the prices are going to reflect that. I think it's not outside of the realm of reality for Sony to announce that, no, there's not going to be new hardware this year, but the PS4 Pro, it's going to go down $50, $350 this year. Get it. Get it this Christmas when the Xbox Scorpio comes out at $500. Let's say that's on the low end. We'll say the Xbox Scorpio is released for $500 this holiday season. Meanwhile, the PS4 Pro has just gotten a $50 price cut at $350. So that's a $150 difference. $100, you might still jump on the Xbox. You might still go with the competitor because $100, that's, better system. Why not just spend the extra 100? But $150, I think you're pushing a lot of people out there. I think going over that $100 mark is going to really stunt your sales, really gimp them. So I think Microsoft has their work cut out for them. Unless they have some kind of miracle with the price. Unless they are willing to eat a lot of that cost and not make money on the system. I think that Scorpio is probably going to suffer. I think that they're betting too much on the dedicated PC gamer. So moving on to Nintendo. Because we talk about Microsoft and Sony a lot here. Nintendo is the biggest question mark of all for me. I don't think they're going to talk about VR. They might in the future. But with the 720p screen, I have the Samsung Gear VR. It's pretty cool. My cell phone, my Galaxy S7, that's a 1080p screen, at least. Maybe more, but it's at least a 1080p screen. And often, I enjoy it. I enjoy using the VR, but often it gets pretty blurry. And that's at 1080p. So a 720p screen, even though it looks good like this, if you put it way up here, right in your face, it's not going to look nearly as good, especially split in half. So I think we gotta. They're not going to talk about that. It might honestly be something they move away from unless Nintendo does their own Switch Pro, their own Switch Scorpio, their own Switch Gemini Aquarius. I think this year Nintendo's going to be all about the games, and I think most of those games are going to be developed in Japan or indie. And honestly, the indie scene is pretty cool on the Switch right now. I'm enjoying a lot of the indie games. I have so many Switch games. I've only had the system since launch, which is about 3 months ago. It's moving on to 4 almost, but I have more games within those 3.5, 4 months of owning a system at launch than I ever have before. So the system is no slouch on games. It is not getting those same AAA games that Sony and Microsoft are getting, though. You know, we got some high-profile indie games. Snake Pass came to all systems, including the Switch. Lego City Undercover came to all systems, and the Switch version actually runs at a higher resolution than the Xbox One version. So it's confirmed that the Switch is more powerful than the Xbox One. I kid. But yeah, I mean, it's just, it doesn't get everything. It doesn't get every game. It is getting a fair amount of Japanese support. And I'm all for that. I think that Americans and Japanese can learn a lot from each other in the development world. And I like when they do learn a lot from each other. I like certain aspects of American games that really streamline things. And I like a lot of aspects of Japanese games that are very functional and make a lot of sense and they're fun. So they could definitely learn from each other. But I wish we got more Western support. And there is a fair amount of Western support on the Switch, but it is mostly indie. There is a rumor, a heavily rumored rumor, going around that Activision has seen the support of the Switch or the good sales of the Switch, and suddenly went, "Oh, you know what we should do? We should get a Call of Duty port out this year." So we got COD, Call of Duty WW2, that stands for World War II, if you're not paying attention, coming out. It was announced for the PC, Xbox One, and the PlayStation 4, but not the Switch. Rumor has it that Activision said, "Yo, Beanox, or some B-related developer, we need you to get a port out." Usually, Treyarch was the one to handle any Nintendo port. But I guess they got the honeybees doing it now. At least according to the rumor. So, I'm kind of conflicted on that because I want to show support for Western third parties on the Switch because I want more Western games on the Switch. I want to show them that there is an audience for these games on Nintendo hardware. But when it comes to Call of Duty, I've been very critical of that series over the last couple of years, and I think rightfully so, with the way they've really treated their fan base and their audience. And honestly, too many of you guys eat their shit up constantly. But what they're doing, you know, they've gotten to this point where they charge you $60 for the base game, but they really want you to spend a bare minimum of $80 or $150 for the super duper edition that comes with a race car or some crappy night vision goggles, whatever it is. Not only do they do that, but they also have their $50 season pass, and that wasn't enough for them. The greed just grew, and it became that they would also add microtransactions. And not only are the microtransactions there, they're the kind that screw up the balance of the game. People that pay more, kids, adults, whoever it is, they're willing to pay more money. They get better items, better weapons that give them an advantage over the people that didn't spend the extra money. Remember, this wasn't a free game in the first place, but they didn't want to spend extra money. So they are punished for it. They're not getting as good of weapons or bullets or ammo, whatever it is, items. So I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it, and because of the way I feel about the series, I probably wouldn't support that. But that's what's going on with Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. I want to know your thoughts, comment section below. I don't want to run too long. I'm not doing excellent on the time, but I'm under 20. Well under 20. Again, let me know what you think. Comment section below. Are you looking forward to E3? I certainly am. I think it's going to be an interesting one. I think it is. But let me know again. Comment section below. Subscribe for more if you have not already. I'll see you next time.